And so it looks like we are live. Yesterday we left off over here. We basically proved that this piece of code here works fine. Okay. So this post is owner. So we are running that code in the background and it is working okay. So let's go ahead and delete this from here. So we don't need that anymore in there. Okay, in progress. Okay. And so basically we can use that down here to either display like button or no. Okay, so we have the index here open on two different windows. And on the left here we have the definition of what a post button is. So we have here post like button, and over here we have the actual implementation of like where we're using it. So now I just want to make sure that it's going to show. And post BK, okay. And so the post like button takes some props, which are the ones here, and it fetches from this like feedback it's fetching from like feedback, and I think it'd be easier if I just have it like this instead. So it's again fetching from like feedback, which is over here in our server. Like feedback takes a feedback ID, which is a decorator on the URL. Like feedback is a decorator on the URL. Hold on. And it sends that as a post so that we can include a token, which for now we're exempting. And after that, it reloads that handle post like reload, and it does that. Okay. So what exactly is it that we're putting into our button? So again, we are putting this like. So we're putting the likes, which we will display down here. That will be props.likes, and we are also telling the button if the user has already liked it, in which case we can use this if else here to return. And the post.pk is the post ID is what we are using to send our request. So I think this part, the way we are using that component is correct. Now we have to work on defining the component and testing it. Um, yeah, so I think that's what we're going to be displaying is this thing here of just like a, thumbs up. If the props, if the user liked it, hold on. Let's take a look for a second at our documentation here for Bootstrap. So if the user has already liked that post, we're going to show a solid button. Else we're going to show this outline style button. So that would be like this. We can say primary. So that would be down here actually. So if he's not liked it, so we're going to return here, and then the I'm going to remove this class. I think this is from our previous homework. Okay, and if the user has already liked it, we're going to return with this btn primary class. Yeah, btn primary class, and then on click we're going to handle the unlike, which we haven't defined yet, and we also displaying the likes, how many likes. Over here, handle like is the name of the function. Okay, props dot likes. Over here it's not props dot likes, we are passing it as upvotes. So the upvotes is what we need to put here. So it'll be props dot upvotes, and also here props dot upvotes. Let's start testing and see if it works. We'll reload here, and it's not working yet. Let's take a look at the console for a second. Maybe we have some debugging there. So we see the data we're actually passing to the front end. Upvotes user liked. So it's false, in which case we return down here. On click, handle like, and our handle like is doing fetch of this route here of like feedback, which we might have a mistake there. We'll take a look using the post ID, using props dot post ID, which we are putting that in like that. The post like reload, we will edit that later. And over here it goes into unlike post, which is the wrong thing, which is, it should say unlike feedback. And it does have a feedback ID, which I'm not sure we need that $sign at the beginning. Let me see. Yeah, I guess we do. Yes, we do. And it's doing all of this, and it then handle post like reload. And then the return for this is if the user liked, which I believe is the correct thing here, which is right here. If the user liked, handle like, handle unlike, and the only thing that might be an issue is this class here. I guess we'll see, but should be okay. I don't see why that would be an issue. And let's take a look one more time here. It's not working right now, but let's take a look here. Maybe it's coming from here, the issue. So we are putting this post like button, this whole element here, inside of its own div. And is owner is the correct thing that we are returning here. So I understand now. So I guess the mistake that we have right now why it's not working is because we're converting it into a string. So so it has no way, the front end, the JavaScript app has no way of seeing it basically. We have to return it as a boolean, not as a string. So we'll take that out. And hopefully now it should work. Let's see. And it works, as you could see here, where it makes sense that only we see one button because this is the only post. I'm testing here with like a random user account, and this is the only post which was created with a different user account. So it's following the logic that I should be allowed to only up-like the things that I did not create, if that makes sense. So a user is not allowed to upvote his own suggestions. Now I'm not seeing here, I'm seeing the button, but I'm not seeing the number of likes, so we have to work on that now. Likes is post.upvotes, and we are passing that over here. It's a number, and post.upvotes eventually goes into the component, I believe it's as a prop, and that prop is displayed hopefully in the return. So that will be props.upvotes. Now, why is it not showing? I have no idea. Let's see, props.upvotes. It should show. I'm not sure why that's not the case. I know why. It's because we are renaming the upvotes here. We're just renaming upvotes to likes. So over here has to be props dot, or we can just rename it, I guess, over here. Instead of likes, we can rename it to upvotes. And now it should work. Wait. No, it's still not working. Hold on. So I think it's because it can't have the same name. Over here will be props dot likes. Let's try that and see. For some reason it's not working. I'll try to close the server and rerun it. Maybe that is the issue. And so my first suggestion here, so let's see. This one would be like the first object, I believe. My first suggestion, and we see here that the upvotes is 9999. So it should show up. For some reason it's not. So let's see why. So the upvotes, upvotes turns into the likes. Into the likes. Props dot likes. Props dot likes. Yeah, I don't know why it's not showing. Let me know in the comments if you know. Please. See, there's no text here, but at least the functionality seems to be working, where you can see that I've liked it and now it changed a little bit. That's why it is showing. Look at that. It is showing. It's just showing in white. Got it. Okay. Now I don't want it to. I want it to show inside. Yeah. So this makes sure that it shows inside the button. And the same for here. We'll take it out of here. And we will do here space and then props.likes. Let's reload. and you see that it's working. If I click here, we get an error, and so this basically is telling us that I didn't necessarily implement that view correctly. So I did implement this like feedback. It looks like it's correct, and now we want to do unlike feedback, in which case I'm going to go ahead and copy paste the same as like feedback, but it's going to be slightly different. So all of this, we paste that, and I think that's okay. And so now we're going to use feedback ID is the correct term up there. Okay, and it's being used. You see it's highlighted now. And so we do want to get the current user. We want to get we want to call this old like, and then that would be feedback like, and we're going to change this here, dot objects dot get, where the, and for this I gotta have to go back to my view, to my models here, where the user, no wait, it was, what am I looking for? I'm looking for a feedback like. Where my user is the current user. So old like is feedback like objects dot get, where feedback is equal to liked feedback, and my user is equal to the current user. Again, this is already after getting the objects, so I'm passing the objects as they are into the argument here. Feedback equals liked feedback, users equal the current user, then we want to go ahead and delete that like, so we're going to do old like dot delete, and usually we wouldn't delete things from a database. In this case, I'm not going to go back and rewrite the model, but you could, just use write a field in there that says active, and it's a boolean, true or false, and then if somebody wants to delete, instead of actually deleting that object from your database, you just mark it as inactive, let's say, and then whenever you're feeding the data to the front end from the server, you can always filter that, only feed the active objects. That way you're not actually deleting anything from your database. I'm not doing it like that. I'm just going to delete it. It's easier in this case, especially because I would have to rewrite the whole model, but something to keep in mind. So the old like delete, and then for my liked feedback dot feedback likes is going to be equal to liked feedback dot feedback likes -1 liked feedback dot save, and then I'm going to return JSON response, and then it's going to redirect. So let's take a look if that actually works. Reload here, push it, and now we see that it looks like it worked. Let me see, 9999, as you can see. So for some reason the text is still not showing 100%. I wonder why. Let's see, let's just CS50w. What is the class name? What is the class name for dark text in Bootstrap? something simple. That's it, just text dark. We're going to add that to a feedback to over here, which is our BTN outline. So in our BTN outline, we also want to have dark text. Okay, save, and let's reload over here and see if it worked. And so we see that it worked. Again, if I push here, it goes to 10,000, like the user likes. And if I push it again, we see that we unlike this, and now it goes down a little bit. And this is all happening in real time. It's reloading only the button. And this is because of the way we implemented our use effect to keep track of props of post-like reload. I'm not going to get into how that works, but the point is it's only keeping track of, it's only reloading the element from which this post-like reload is activated. Okay, so now that we have gotten that, I think this is it. I mean, more or less, I believe this is it. And if we log out and we go into test 1, and we go into feedback, we're going to see the opposite. We're going to see the rest of these have the ability for me to upvote, and if I push on that, now it's working, and it actually brought it up to the top. As you can see, we're going to do that, and you see that now it's sorting it, I guess, by the oldest first. But once I have here, like if I upvote this, testing 5, now becomes the second option. Remember, Hello World actually has a 1,000 likes. I don't know, 10,000, whatever the number was. Now here I'm thinking out loud, maybe we shouldn't give the option for the user who's currently logged in to be able to like his own post, but at least we should show how many other people have liked. So let's just implement that. That's fairly easy to implement here. So here's our component return, and so instead of returning an empty string here, we can just return like a div and another div. Let's see, closing tag for div, and we just call this up votes, and in curly braces we'll put in there post dot upvotes. Let's see how that looks. Wait, I don't think it's saved. And we can upvote all these, and you see the second, if it has 2, what just happened? Something just got very much messed up here. Let me see. So I can't like it twice, obviously. That's what happened. But you know, we like, and the one that has now 1, it's at the top. Okay. Great. That looks great actually. And I believe it is only reloading that card and then updating the sequence. That's interesting. I'm not really 100% sure how this actually works on the back end, like how React actually does this. This is a bit of like, I'm just trusting because I know the documentation, but logically I'm not really sure how this works. But somehow it's rearranging the cards without reloading them. How React does that, I'm not sure. But it's basically keeping track of everything in real time, and reloading is necessary. And okay. So this is working quite nicely, I guess. And I just wanted to display up here, which I think it might be displayed. Let me see. It was already displayed, yeah. It's just you can't see it. So we do have to give it a class name. And basically my CSS at this point is all patched up. I will have to work on this before I publish it, or maybe even after I publish it. Maybe one of the immediate things I want to do after, you know, I start to get some traction is actually to really get the user design down. I'm trying to get the user experience correct, which is not necessarily the same thing as user design. User experience meaning I don't want to make users think. I want to just make it very intuitive how to use the app, very simple. I want a really, really simple app. in terms of the user experience, and then eventually the interface and how the buttons look and the font and all this sort of thing, we can figure that out later. Like I am myself, I've used many apps which have horrible user interface, but the experience is very good and the flow is very intuitive, and it doesn't make a difference really. Like you're happy with the app. And then I've used apps which have a beautiful design, which are overly complicated, with an overly complicated user experience. And over there, you know, like you cannot save a bad app with good design, but a good app with bad design you could totally sell. So that's something to keep in mind. Again, I would focus on design once I have some traction, but for now I'm patching up my CSS, and this text dark over here, I want to just present it in this div. So this div, we're going to give it a class name of text dark, and if we reload up here, we'll see that now we have our upvotes over here. And we could even say upvoted. We'll make this a little bit nicer. Times users. Upvoted. Upvoted by, let's see. Yeah, upvoted by 999 users. Should this be blue? I guess we could do text blue, no? Or text primary, I think. How about that? Text primary. I think that's how it likes it. No, I really don't know. Let me know if, in the comments, but I don't really know. Let's just leave it text dark and move on. Oh wait, I changed it in the wrong place. I did change it in the wrong place. That's why it wasn't showing up. Hold on. And so upvoted by da-da-da. So here, let's say primary. Let's try again. Ah, great. So yeah, we can just do that. Check text primary. Upvoted by 999 users. And I want to make it more complicated even. So this will be dark. This I want to put inside a span. A span, I believe, just allows you to add additional stuff here. You'll see span. And my class name, I want to make that primary over there. And so over here, we'll do primary. Let's see how that looks. That's how I think that looks very nice. So upvoted by 999 users. And then obviously I can just upvote whatever I want down here. And this is all responsive. Keep that in mind. You see? Maybe it's not perfect, but it is responsive. Now I'm not really sure if I should write the word upvote. And if I close here, again, it's not perfect. Like if this was very long text, let's take a look at what it would look like. I'm gonna just mess with it a little bit here to give you an idea. So let's go into the shell for a second. Python by shell. And so let's say from feedback, import its feedback models. Import and hello world, I believe, has a PK of 1. So from a post equals a feedback equals to feedback objects get where the pk is equal to 1, post dot description let's make it a lot longer. Post dot description is equal to post dot description is all that, and so now we can save it. Post dot save. So let's reload here, and you'll see now this is what it's looking like. So again, it's not perfect. And I just don't want a button, but I would like to have this border around it. Let's see how I can do that. Border. Subtract, I'm not really sure here. Color. Let's just do like a border primary for that. So that's going to be here. No, it's not going to be there. I have to add both classes. Yes, let's take a look. So I guess it looks kind of like this, and we can get into the padding, you know, like a P of 2. Okay. I mean, it's a weird way of solving for this, but, and it's not perfect. You see it comes out even. Something to think about. In which case, we don't have to put it on the right over there. We could put it somewhere else. So let's put all this stuff here on a separate div even at the top. So this whole div here. I'll copy this and leave it how it was before. So if the post is the owner, then I won't show the button, and otherwise yes. And then again, if post dot is owner, and I do want to show this somewhere else actually. I want to show it like below the H3. So over here. So if the post, if the owner, like if post dot is owner, then I want to show this. Else I'm gonna leave it blank. Let's see. And I would like to show it somewhere else, not there. Hold on. Let's try this. Let's take out the hideous border. We could even show as an alert even. Let's try alerts. Alerts. Reload. And it's starting to look a little bit better. I think that's the correct implementation here. And so again, we have the correct amount of buttons. They show up in the correct form. I'm able to like on like. And then for the post that I posted myself, I'm allowed to see the stats of how many people voted for it, but I'm not allowed to vote. And the button, and there's no space here, so the text goes all the way. And let's offer people an option to delete the post that they themselves posted. And this alert maybe should go at the bottom. So let's redo that one last time. And again, we're looking for our alert, which is all this stuff here in brackets. Yes, copy that. Take it out of here. And I'm not sure what this div is coming from. Maybe it's from the card. Hold on. H3 and then this div here. Let's try it down here. It's still responsive, looks good. And I'm going to make a space here. And then delete. Hold on. A. Delete feedback. That people could click on. Href is equal to that. And we want to do text red, or even this A over here. Text danger. Okay. And yeah, this gives the option for users to delete whatever it is that they wrote. And again, the only reason we're looking at this at the top is because it was updated by that many users, and we're sorting by the amount of likes. So if we were to like this, you'll see it automatically jumps to the top of all the other ones. And delete my feedback. It's like a very simple user experience way of letting them know that this is the post that they wrote without having to sort and all that sort of thing. Just a very simple way. And I would say also text SM. I don't know if that was the right thing. Text. Font size. Yeah, so let's just do FW semi-bold. FW, so that'll be like a font weight, and then font size of FS6. Let's try this. And then text danger with the color. Small text, I'm not seeing that anywhere, so small text in Bootstrap. Just write in small. That makes sense. So we can do here small and danger. And I want to make it a little bit bold. FW bold. And I guess this is a cool example of how you can make, just by changing the font and the weight of the font, you can make the user experience even better. Like this seems a little bit more intuitive now, you know? Like it looks obvious that this is mine and I wrote it and I can delete it. That's the idea. They don't have to think too much. We're gonna implement some code now. I think even before we go for the day, we're gonna implement some code here that will not delete the feedback. It will actually just mark it as inactive in the database, and based off of that is what we're serving here. That way, let's say somebody suggests something, like in this example, he suggested something and 1,000 users liked it. You know, that's probably a very good idea. It's probably something I should be working on and implementing for the app. It's a feature that I should add to the app. Now, what happens if 1,000 people vote for it and then he goes in and deletes it? Well, that's a bad for me because he deleted something that might have been quite good and quite useful for the users. So therefore, when it comes to feedback, I'm not going to delete any of it. I am going to mark it either as active, and I already have a field for that, active or inactive. Give me a second here. So I have my feedback engine. So I'm already sorting for that. You see that? If post.active equals true. Now I would have to create a dashboard for myself as like, let's say we can call it like as a super user account inside the app that I could see posts which are inactive, and there's a way to do that without having to encode it. I think it's built into Django that you can navigate. There's a way in the Django admin to be able to navigate through the database and create new models and all this sort of thing, all via web interface without having to code. So I will probably be implementing that later on. And the course in CS50w, they have a whole half lecture just on that topic, and it's very useful, and I will probably be referring back to it just to remind myself how to do it. And yep, so let's get back into it. In the meantime, I want to say hello to Vishvanath. I hope I'm saying your name right. Vishvanath. Hello. Where are you watching from? Let me know in the comment down here. Where are you watching from? Vishvanath. Okay, so let's get back into it. What do we need? We need a view. We need to make a new view here. So the same way we have a delete feedback, sorry, a new feedback view, we want to create a delete feedback view. We're going to call it delete feedback. Before I do this though, I'm just thinking out loud here. I have to figure out, because when I push here 1, I wonder if that's updating for all the users that are currently logged in. In theory it is, but I don't know if the other users' interfaces will reload because I push here. That's an interesting question and I have to look into it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure the answer for that. Let me know in the comments if you know. Vishwanath, he's from India. Oh wow, very nice. Let me ask you something. How do you feel about the coding courses online, specifically in terms of English? Are you understanding them? Do you feel like you need to learn a little bit more English in order to understand these courses? What about the live stream right now? Are you understanding how I'm saying things? I'm just curious to hear you guys' experience. Do you have to teach yourself English even before you start to teach yourself coding, or are you able to kind of just pick it up along the way? I guess I'm getting a little bit perfectionist down here, but let's try and put this here. No, it shows up over there. Okay, so I don't know. Let's see, go back. Let's just leave it for now like this. I think it should be okay. You could easily understand. Okay, good. So where are you in the coding journey? Like, are you taking CS50 now? Yeah, let's just do button here instead of that for delete feedback. And we're gonna have to handle it in a second. Yeah, we might even have to make a new component here actually. I'm just realizing that we're gonna have to make a new component so we can put in the logic for going into the server and deleting that. But I guess we can just work on the, let's just work on the back end for now a little bit. We'll rough it in. We won't be able to test it today, I don't think, because after we build here, we're gonna have to build the button the same way we build this button here. So that's basically two things, right? That's our component that we sort of paste into the div there inside, and that's also the definition of that component as a function, which we have to define and say, okay, when you click, you have to go into the server and do this and do that. So that's gonna have to be for later. But for now, let's say delete feedback is the new route which we want to create. It's going to pull from delete underscore feedback, and the name of that route is delete feedback. Now I'm just gonna copy this, go into my views, find that, yeah, I'm just gonna duplicate this one, and this again will be CSRF exempt. I'm just gonna copy that because I can never spell that. CSRF exempt, unlike feedback. Okay, more or less, that's we're getting there. And so Vishwanath, he's saying after joining, after joining, I came to know they're launching a new version January. Yeah, so they do launch a new version every January 1st of every year. I mean, honestly, the course to me, the bulk of the course has been the same for 10 years. But I tried the course back in 2015, and they even had the same homework. I took it 2 years ago again, or 3 years ago, and the homework with Mario and building the pyramid, it was the same thing. Now they do have a lot more, I would call it lab problems. So before, they used to just give you a lecture and then give you a homework to solve and turn in. Now they have something in between. So they'll have the lecture, and then between the lecture and the homework, they have not only additional videos, which I recommend you watch at least twice, or, by the way, I recommend you watch the lecture twice and then watch the videos, the follow videos twice. But then now you have like this, like practice problems that you can do before you try to turn in your homework. And I believe that sort of bridges the gap between the lecture and the homework, because CS50 has been notorious over the years of being very difficult in terms of the homeworks, and it almost doesn't make. Honestly, I guess this was also my experience when I was in college learning biology, where especially in the chemistry classes, molecular, when I was taking my organic chemistry and biochemistry courses, like the lecture would be easy to understand, and then the practice problems, they were okay, and then when the test came, it was very hard. So there seems to be a disconnect, a big jump between the lecture and the homework. CS50 has since bridged that gap with their practice problems in between, and I recommend that you do those before you try to attempt the P-set and handing in a homework. Now, everything I've said right now, I don't think it applies for the very first homework, which is Scratch. And you could probably, Vanath, I'm sorry I keep mispronouncing your name, you could probably go ahead right now today, take 2 hours, 3 hours, and just work on the first lecture and start working on your Scratch homework. I doubt that is going to change for 2025. I think for 2025 they might have obviously new videos and new content, but week 0 is going to still be week 0. So those are my 2 cents on that. And then obviously you want to continue, you want to have a steady learning, at least do 2 hours a day. Watch the lecture once. If you didn't understand, watch it again. Code along as you're watching, word for word what the guy is saying. That really helped me. And then good luck. And then afterwards, if you stick it, you will get through the, I don't know how many weeks, 10 weeks, whatever it is. And then afterwards, you can take this course, which is what I'm working on right now. This is actually the final project of the follow-up CS50 web course, mainly really in JavaScript, React, and in Python using Django. And so this is way probably a little bit more advanced than what you are probably going to be tackling in the next, your next step towards learning to code. But here I'm just showing, I guess, what you could get up to if you just do 2 hours a day, which I did, and now it's been a few years, and a few years went by very quickly. So you can make it to this, and I haven't really shown much here, but part of this is also using Figma, which is this like user experience. I can design all my apps here, and then just code strictly based off of the design. I'm not coming up with new ideas as I'm coding. I'm keeping the scope of my project very specific, and hopefully I won't get distracted. I won't build things that I don't need to be building. I'll stay to the requirements of the homework and just get through it. We are implementing here again this view in our URLs to delete this feedback here. So when I click on delete feedback, it should work. We still have to implement that, and we will in a minute. But for now, that's the goal. Now this blue here is probably bad user interface because it kind of looks like a clickable item, which it is not meant to be. So I might just revert this to a regular black so that I don't confuse people. I want to give them only one place where they should click. If you're giving people multiple places where they need to click, you're going to lose them. They're not going to understand what it is that you want them to do. So just one option to click. So therefore I will delete the span here. I will delete the opening of that span with its class and everything. Reload. Why is it not loading? It's not loading because I have this problem back here. And my views doesn't have a delete feedback. And I have two unlike, so I think I'll make the bottom one delete feedback. Reload here. Now it shows up. Now I have just black text. And this we will turn that into a button soon. What is the flow here? Very simple. We will obviously always want to get the current user. Do we need to get the current user? I'm not sure actually. We might not even need that. We don't need the current user. And extract liked post. I used to comment a lot on my code back in the day. I guess we just start when I was more like rookie. I would comment on every little thing. Now I comment on things that are like critical. If there's something out of the ordinary, like a lot of my code, and this is something CS50 teaches you, you learn to write the code in a certain style. And so I try to stick to that format. And most of my code is written according to that format, spacing, the way I name the variables, that sort of thing. The syntax. Indentation, so the syntax stays the same. And so because of that, it's easy to understand the code. You see, like I have a space here. There's a reason why this is not a random space in between these two lines. There's a reason for it. You're welcome, Vishvanath. And so there's a reason on the course we'll teach you this. There's a reason for these spaces in between these lines of code here. And so I don't necessarily need this comment here to tell me what the return is doing. Like I know what that return does. I don't really need that. I can actually just delete it. I can delete really all these comments. These is, again, this is all older comments that I wrote when I was a little bit like just getting started on writing like full stack apps. You know, like we're talking hundreds of lines of code total, maybe even thousands once we're finished here. And so really I only comment things now which are critical, things that need to be worked on later, or things that maybe someone else is going to work on, that sort of thing. So I haven't learned Java as well, no. And I guess Java is good if you want to learn how to program in Android, as far as I know. I know that a lot of university courses begin their computer science courses teaching Java. for the longest time, I have a goal of taking Princeton's algorithms and data structures course, which is taught on Java. So maybe that's something I will do soon. Although after this course here, after this web course here, CS50 has a AI course in Python, which I might take that before. Mainly because once I build this app here, I do want to add some machine learning, artificial intelligence to it, for a very specific application. I'm not saying artificial intelligence like a ChatGPT style. No, I'm talking a very specific Python library that I want to implement. But that's that's one course ahead. That's getting ahead of myself. So again, I wouldn't worry about getting started with Java. It doesn't really matter which language you start with. It does not matter. The important thing is that you just show up 2 days every day to code, 2 hours every day at least. So it doesn't really matter what you start with. It more matters like what you stick to. And so I've never learned Java, but I'm confident that I could pick it up quite quickly because again, the basics, the programmatic thinking needed in order to code in Java is the same thing. I don't need to learn that again. That was the hardest thing to learn. And have I been coding since 2015? No, I have not been coding since 2015. I tried taking CS50 in 2015, and I quit. Unfortunately, I wish I wouldn't have, but I did. That's what happened. I quit, and I got back into it in 2020. In 2020, during Corona, obviously, I have a whole story. I think that's one of the first videos on this channel of I had like this work accident and I needed to find a new career. So I figured let's try coding again. And I actually started with a different program. And eventually I somehow found my way back into CS50 and stuck to it. Thank God. I stuck to it. It was very hard, very hard. The hardest week was week 5. And after week 5, I sort of convinced myself that okay, if I've made it this far, I could totally finish the course, and I did finish the course. A couple of weeks after that, and so I am very happy that I stuck it out. I was about to quit on week 5, and somehow I managed to pull through it. That's the algorithm and data structures week. It's the hardest one. And ever since, something clicked over there, and that something that clicked has been accompanying me all throughout, all until now. So really, I would say I've been coding solid for the last 2.5 years. 2 years even, maybe 2 years. Yeah, I would say I think that about 2 years. I think actually, yeah, I started CSF 2 years ago to the clock, and it was like in December 2021, I think. Heck, I don't even know. Or we're in December, so this would be 2023, 2022. Yeah, December 2022 is when I started. And yeah. Okay, so that's that. So yeah, there's a lot of courses that you could take. David Malin, the professor from CS50, he says he's the one that recommends taking Princeton's Data Structures and Algorithms class, which is an advanced class from Princeton. I think part of the requirement is that you need to already have good math. So they even have a prerequisite course for that one. It's all free, by the way. You can find all this stuff free online, I believe, or maybe it's through Coursera. I'm not sure. But I think it's recommended that you take like like an introduction to math course. Either I don't know if it's calculus 1 or if it's an introduction to discrete math, which discrete math is more about logic and proofs, which is very similar to coding, or it's at least one of the foundations of computer science in general. But yeah. I might not even end up, parentheses here, I might not even take any of these courses because I have been seriously looking into Harvard's program. Now, this is not something that I know anybody that has done. I really have no experience about it. Let me see if I can find and show you, and maybe we'll finish with this. So Harvard has something called, I think it's called Extension School. Yeah. Here. So they've got this bachelor's of liberal arts degree program. If you click on the details here, if I understood correctly, I mean, I still haven't really talked to them. I'm going to call them and see what the story is. But I am understanding that you can get a degree, even though it's not a science degree, it's a liberal arts degree, but it doesn't really matter. It's from Harvard. So you're going to get a Bachelor of Liberal Arts in Extension Studies from Harvard, but you can do it with a concentration in computer science. And I even think David Malin, the CS50 professor, is one of the professors in this program. What this would mean for me really is that I can just focus on this, get a bachelor's degree in computer science from Harvard, almost fully online, and 8 credits, which I think is like 2 courses. I would just do that over 2 summers in Boston. So I would be in Boston at Harvard for 2 summers to take those courses. The rest of the time, I guess, complete courses similar to CS50, just on my own time, and making progress that way. And then once I have a certain amount of credits, and I already have a couple credits from college that I could transfer here, potentially I can just get a bachelor's degree from Harvard in computer science. Now, I don't know if that's what's going to be written on the diploma, because they do say here you're getting a liberal arts in extension studies. So I don't know if it's liberal arts extension studies with a computer science, whatever the terminology they say here, but I am pretty sure that I could use that. I mean, this is part of what I need to look into. I could use this, it's like a way to apply even for a master's degree in computer science. I don't know. That's sort of like the direction I'm headed. So something to think about. Anyhow, so I think today we have reached now about an hour of our coding session, and we're going to move on for today. But thank you for joining, and see you in the next live stream.